Gotta make sure there's no lipstick in my teeth. What's up, Internet? It's Rebecca here. I am back with another episode of Breaking Walls, that playlist on our YouTube series where we peel back that curtain, we break that fourth wall, and we talk to you guys directly and share all the insights of our lives and business and everything in between. My story today is kind of a compilation of 2 mistakes from 2 travel jobs, and it basically just revolves around like what you should not do when you're traveling and you're filming. So about 2 years ago, I got hired to film in Bali, Indonesia, and it was by a couple who was having a destination wedding. So now I wasn't getting hired to actually film the wedding. They had people to do it. I was there to film their day-to-day activities. So for about a week and a half, I was their personal entourage, and I made them really awesome social media videos every single day that they can post on their channels and kind of keep connected with the people who couldn't make it out for their wedding. One of the things that the couple had scheduled was a beautiful hike to the Secumpo waterfall. I have no idea if that's the actual title, but it was this big hike in the mountain where the end destination was this beautiful waterfall. You know, in my brain I was thinking like, oh yeah, hike mountain, sure. I filmed in Hawaii before. It's kind of like that. Absolutely not. It was so much more difficult. When you're traveling in like a third world country like Bali, local people who kind of show you the trails, and the tour guide that I was kind of assigned was this, you know, beautiful little just energetic girl who couldn't have been more than like 13 years old. And as we started the hike, I'm realizing like, yo, she's in flip-flops. I'm in like full-on hiking stuff. How is this gonna work? Little did I know, she was much more badass than I thought she was. There was steps, obviously, because you have to go down incrementally, and the steps themselves had to have been like 2 to 3 feet at a time, so they were really big steps. It was just so hard. We get to the waterfall, yay, beautiful, lots of cool shots, whatever, and then we start our trip back up the mountain. And we had a long train of people that we were with. They had to have been about 12, 15 people. Every single person was struggling because it was so flipping hard. The same 2 to 3 feet steps we took going down were the same 2 to 3 feet steps we had to take going back up to get back to our taxi. I think my backpack alone had to have weighed around 50 pounds. That could be an exaggeration, but I have no idea. It was heavy. And I myself am just like 100 pounds, so I was struggling. Now, like I said earlier, I didn't quite learn from my mistakes, and so the same thing actually happened to me the year after. We went to Costa Rica for something similar. It was a collaborative brand trip, so a bunch of people sponsored, and we were filming a bunch of, you know, rad lifestyle content for all of these people. There were 2 brands in particular that I know needed to be filmed in like a jungle-esque type background. So Woody and I were walking around the town, and we were trying to figure out, okay, who's got like the best, you know, tour guide situation, who's gonna take us to the prettiest mountain peak or whatever. And we bargained our way into a free tour up the mountain. This one was a little bit different than Bali, because in Bali we hiked down to the waterfall and then we had to come back up. But in Costa Rica, you started at the bottom and you had to come all the way up, and then you came back down. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into until about halfway up the hike. So I wasn't, you know, introduced to how difficult it was gonna be until I was too late to turn around. This time it was, you know, 2 times worse, because not only did I have camera gear in our backpack, in my backpack, but we also had products in our backpack because we were filming for a sunglass company, a clothing line, and a water bottle company. So all 3 of those products were in my backpack or Woody's backpack. We kind of dispersed it between the 2, but regardless, it was still a very heavy backpack. And there was this point in the mountain where it was just all hell broke loose. It wasn't necessarily the inclination that was hard. I think it was just the length. It was a lot longer of a hike, and it was, yeah, it was rough. We struggled. I just keep replaying it back in my head, and it's just so funny to think about. The 2 people, or the 4 people ahead of us were, you know, they looked like they've been in CrossFit for like their entire lives, and nothing was fazing them. Then the group behind us, it looks like they, you know, had lots of beer the night before, and they're trying to like work it off, but they were struggling more than Woody and I were struggling. So we were kind of like in the middle. So as far as pacing, we weren't too bad, but like internally, we both just wanted to like shrivel up and die because it was so physically demanding. And here's the kicker. Because, you know, we did a barter and an exchange to get the free tour guide to go up the mountain, we had to stop more often to film the entire excursion and everybody having a good time. So although we got little breaks and stops up the way, it was just so hard to have to stop to film, to stop to film, and then keep going. So when you get to the top, everybody unpacks their sandwiches and they talk their talk and they hear all the fun facts and they're like looking at all this beautiful scenery. And Woody and I could not partake in those activities because we had to work. So while everybody got to rest and enjoy the scenery and catch their breath, Woody and I had to take it up another level and find strength somewhere to pull out the products, to do different gimbal shots, to throw up the drone. And you know, when you're so exhausted like that, the last thing you want to do is to slap a smile on your face and act like this water bottle is just the best thing in the world. It is so miserable and it sucks. It was so hard. So those are my experiences, Bali and Costa Rica. So if you yourself are a filmmaker or you're a photographer or you're just a travel enthusiast and you want to be able to capture your memories the best you can, I have 4 takeaways for you because you need to learn from my mistakes. The first off is invest in a good backpack. When I was investing in gear, I knew and I kind of anticipated that I needed to be mobile so that I could do a lot of things that I know I wanted to create. So I knew early on I wanted to get a good backpack. And so I think I spent around $350 on the camera bag that I have now. So I would highly recommend getting and investing in a really good camera backpack. So what makes a good backpack? Number 1, comfort. It has to be comfortable for you. What's comfortable for me isn't comfortable for Woody and vice versa. So make sure that you have the chance to like try it on because not all backpacks fit the same. The more dividers, the more pockets, the more zippers, the better. I always like camera backpacks that have a slot for a laptop so that I don't have to carry anything else other than that because I really utilize the space that's in there. Comfortability, for sure. Lots of space, lots of like pockets everywhere, and accessibility. I think being able to just kind of flip the backpack around, open a quick button, and take out something really quickly is essential when you're on the go and you're trying to come up with things on a fly. So I think like the range of a good travel backpack is anywhere from like $300 to $350. To each their own. If you can find one for cheaper, have at it. So number 2 is to keep your options limited. When you're thinking about things to, put in your backpack as you get ready to like go out for the day's activity, the fewer the better. Mainly because it's gonna be better for you physically and mentally. When you have fewer options creatively, you can get more inventive with the way that you capture things. I would suggest getting a portrait focal length, something around, a 50 millimeter. And then, something with a little bit of a zoom and a range, maybe a 24 to 70 or 24 to 105, depending on what it is that you're shooting. Keep everything else, at home. You don't need the 35, you don't need the macro, you don't need, the telephoto. All of those things are awesome. And if you have the physical strength to carry those things, like good for you. But realistically, the fewer options you have, the better and more inventive your shots can be. I actually filmed a similar, job as Bali and Costa Rica, but in Hawaii. And that one I didn't. I packed everything I could. I think there was, a drone, there was 3 different lenses, a gimbal, 2 camera bodies. It was just a lot. And when I look at the footage from Hawaii versus Costa Rica, the most recent, the quality of the footage, the creativeness from the shots that I took is vastly better. In Hawaii, I have half as much footage, and the footage I did get it was okay. I got so caught up in all of the decisions that I didn't actually shoot as much as I should have. So keep your options limited. It's gonna keep your backpack lighter, and it's gonna help you be more creative. Number 3 is to plan out your shots. So I didn't do it so much in Bali, but I did in Costa Rica, and I saw it made the world of difference. It took me a long time to get to a point where I can understand what types of shots that I need. So if you're kind of in that in-between area where you're like, oh, I need to film everything and I'll decide in the editing room, try as best you can to think sequentially. So if you're filming a water bottle, right? Get a close-up shot of the water bottle, a mid shot of the water bottle, and something wide with the water bottle. And if you can get creative within those 3 focal lengths, you're gonna give yourself the biggest opportunity to make the most badass edit ever. So number 4, my last and final tip for those who are traveling and photographing or filming or whatever, is to please don't forget to enjoy the moment. Honestly, we're in a day and age where we have the opportunity to go to these third world countries and these states and these cities with our cameras and we're creating content, and it's the most rewarding job in the world, but it can only be rewarding if you take a moment and you actually experience what you're going through. So photos and videos themselves, they're acting as, triggers to say, hey, this is what happened. Hey, remember this? And you don't want that trigger to be something negative because you were so stressed on getting that shot. You want it to be, oh, look at all of these photos and look at all of these videos. Like, oh, I remember when this happened. Oh, I remember when this happened. And the way that you can do that is to plan out your shots. Yeah, if you can. Take everything, put everything away. Turn off everything and just kind of enjoy it. Have conversations, take in the view, breathe clean, fresh air. So that way when you look at what you created after the fact, it brings back fond memories and not stressful memories. All right, folks, that was my story. That was this Breaking Walls episode. There's not much to really say about this one. I'm trying to pivot away from just talking about business stuff. So if you like the more personal stuff or if you like the more business stuff, please let me know, because I want to pivot and make sure that you guys are, being entertained. Feel free to subscribe, like, and do all that jazz. I like comments, I like messages, so let's be people and let's interact, yeah? Other than that, that's it. All right, bye.
Now my favorite color is blue.